Good morning, ladies. Welcome, welcome. We are going to get started in just a couple of minutes. We're letting more folks come in, but so glad to see so many of you on this Friday morning. Definitely feel free to use the chat. Tell us who you are. Let us know if you're new to CWIP or a longtime veteran, in which case we probably know you. Great. Welcome as you're all coming in. Good morning. Hi, Tina. Great to see you. Thank you all for spending the first part of your Friday morning with us. We're really excited to talk about all things mentoring this morning. Hey, Julie, great to see you again. Great, seeing lots of familiar names and faces for those who've been involved with the Women's Leadership Mentoring Program over the years. Hi, Katrina, welcome. Glad to have you in CWIP. Same with Chrissy. Cool. Great. Well, I know we'll keep having ladies joining us, but I think since we just have an hour, we should go ahead and get started. So definitely continue to keep introducing yourself in the chat, use it for questions. We're going to be pretty informal this morning. So definitely be sure to reach out and let us know if you need anything or have questions for any of the presenters. So to get us started, I will hand it over to Donna Jacobson, who is a CWIP board member and co-chair of the Women's Leadership Mentoring Committee.
Great. Thank you so much, Glynnis, and welcome everyone on this very early Friday morning. It's great to see all of your faces, and I just wanted to share, as Glynnis said, I'm a member of the CWIP Board of Directors and a co-chair of the WLMP, and I am also proudly a former mentor. I was in the mid-career mentor program or cohort for 2 years, and it was a great experience. I just first want to again, thank you for joining us today. And I want to thank everyone who made today possible and contributed to this morning's events, including our my fellow board members, Frida Warren and Lindsay George, who co-chair our membership committee. I also want to thank our fellow co-chairs for the WLMP, Jasmine Garcia and Glynnis Hokenson, and Rachel Nugent from Gidley Management, and to all of the members of our current cohort who will be the focus of our time together today and who will be introduced to you shortly. Many of you are probably aware of all that CWIP has to offer, and many of you are probably members. But for those of you who aren't members, I just wanted to share with you a bit about CWIP and the mission, which you can see on the screen, which is to build an inclusive community that educates and empowers Chicagoland women to grow personally and professionally and to advocate for themselves in their committees. Our vision is an equitable, inclusive, and connected social sector. There are so many different ways to engage with CWIP, and through CWIP, you can simply participate in networking events like the one we're offering today, or there are so many different committees you can join, including the annual luncheon committee, our communications committee, the girls committee, membership, programs and capacity building, the racial equity and social justice committee, and of course, my favorite, WLMP. And I'll be sharing the links in the chat about the overview of the different committees and the different types of membership. And we really do hope that you check those out and join. And we encourage you to learn more and to invite your friends and, of course, to participate in the WLMP. And so it's my pleasure to turn it back over to my co-chair, Glynnis, who will tell you more about the program. Thank you.
Thanks, Donna. I'm Glynnis Hokenson. I've been co-chairing the WLMP with Donna for the last 2 years and looking forward to another year, also welcoming Jasmine Garcia, who you'll hear from soon, welcoming her as a third co-chair to help run this program. We have about 20 people on our committee and serve about 40 to 50 mentors and mentees each year through 2 different programs. One is for emerging leaders, so women newer in their career, and the other for mid-career women in the social sector here in Chicago. And it's just a phenomenal program. I was a mentee about 6 years ago when I first moved back to Chicago from DC, and just really enjoyed it as a way to network and meet people working in nonprofit and grant making here in Chicago, and have stayed close with my mentor, Paula Dana, who runs the Evanston Arts Center and is really involved with CWIP, specifically the annual luncheon committee. And she has helped me negotiate job offers over the years, talk through tricky situations at work, and I've been involved with WLMP ever since because it was such a meaningful experience. So we invite you all, if you haven't already been a part of it, and many of you who are here already are, but our applications for the next year actually open later today. So you'll get firsthand sneak peek at our applications, and we'll be sending out a wider email to the CWIP community early next week. But we will put the link to our webpage on the CWIP website in this chat, so you can check it out and learn more. Applications are due August 31st, and we can talk about it a little bit more at the end, or if anyone has questions too. But we welcome all of you to apply if you're interested, spread the word. Specifically, this year we're really working on recruiting more women of color to be mentors. So if you are interested in that yourself, or have friends and colleagues in your network that you'd like to recommend, we would be especially interested in talking with them. So I think we'll get started by introducing our special guests for today. We're going to be hearing from 4 women who are currently in the WLMP cohort, 2 mentors and 2 mentees, 1 pair from each of the cohorts. So Shruti Saxena and Claire Dorn are a mentoring pair in our Emerging Leader program, and Ruth Ann Renault and Tara Abrahami are a pair in our mid-career program. And they're going to talk about what mentoring means to them, what they have found fulfilling through their experience of working together and being mentors and mentees within WLMP, but also in informal and other structured situations throughout their careers. And, we really believe in WLMP that it's never too early to start mentoring, and it's never too late to seek a mentor. So one theme that we would love for you to all walk away with is that mentoring and learning from each other is so important, especially in a sector where we may often not have the support from our employers for professional development, much less career development. So we can learn so much from each other. And Pierre Rogers, who was a co-chair of WLMP, longtime CWIP member, said in a recent panel that we hosted, don't try to do your career alone. So we really embrace that, and look forward to sharing some insights with you. Before we get to our panel, I'm going to hand it over to Jasmine, who is going to ask you all some questions about mentoring. So take it away, Jasmine.
Thanks, Glynnis. Good morning, everyone. Really happy to be here, especially as kind of like my inaugural event. Now being announced as a co-chair. I was a mentee back in 2019, and my mentor is here, which is really nice to see her. Tina. But yeah, CWIP was monumental for me. The WLMP program was monumental for me. I'm not from Chicago, so the job I currently have now, honestly, I have to credit for like the connections that I made through here, giving a good word for me. So I can't advocate more strongly than I already do for this program. So I'm eager now to be, a core chair. But yeah, without further ado, just kind of wanted a, informal discussion chat, maybe someone can share with us, like, how have you selected, asked, or nurtured a relation or connection over time with a mentor? Share a little bit about that experience. And I don't mind calling out on people. So I'll let you know that already. Hopefully, I know it's early in the morning, have your coffee or your tea to get you pumped up. But anyone want to go first? I'll definitely go to my mentor, if anything, Tina.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Jasmine. I had a feeling that you were going to call out on me. And yeah, it's a great question. I think about my own experience where I wish I had known early on in my career to reach out to people that I admired, was inspired by, was curious about, how did you do this? Or how did you get to where you are now? And it took me a long time to realize that, how could I lean on my existing networks and just kind of put myself out there and reach out? And I think similarly for what Jasmine shared, CWIP for me and the WLMP program specifically, when I joined the mid-career cohort a few years ago, it was just it was a game changer for me. I think it helped me align with things that I had been looking for and connected me to people that have really helped me think about what my next steps are and how I want to pursue that. So I would just say that, thinking about it's never too late particularly if you're asking yourselves these questions about how can I continue to pursue what I'm passionate about and what I'm looking for in my career or personal endeavors.
Thank you, Tina. Anyone else kind of want to share their experience? Maybe a mentee, potential mentee, someone that's looking for a mentor. Maybe, this is a networking session already for you, where you can find someone since you're interested, in the program, perhaps. Yeah, and I don't mind calling.
I don't mind going.
Okay, go for it.
I'm not in an office space. I'm just walking to the office now. So hopefully there's not too much background noise, but hi, everyone. My name is Melissa Salinas. I'm with an organization in Little Village called Taller de Jose. I will say that I am totally new to the development world. I say new, but I've been in my current position for the past almost 10 months. I first came from corporate, or I was a recruiter before, and then jumped ship when COVID happened. And I was like, what do I want to do as a career? And so long story short, I found my current organization. I absolutely love it, but I feel like I'm missing something. My current organization is very small. We're a staff team of 5. And so I'm the only development person on the team. And so everything I learn is really from my ED. And, she's really busy. They're a really busy person doing ED stuff. And I'm really looking forward to networking and meeting people, and hopefully maybe someone else in this group is on the same boat and can relate to me. And one, is excited about the position they're in, but 2, know that they're missing something because they don't have the foundations and maybe not the the manual to look back on. So yeah, that's me.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Melissa. I think you brought up such a good point, in terms of folks being able to relate to you. I think that's why I have to, again, just keep giving major kudos to Tina, because that was, I think at the core of our relationship, it was definitely very important for me to have someone that I could relate to, because there's just things I didn't have to explain to Tina, right, in terms of what it means to be a woman of color in the professional space. And so that kind of made it so I think we almost expedited our relationship, if that makes sense. So that was really helpful for me. And then 2, I think what I really appreciate just about the curriculum and the programming that we have part of, WLMP and CWIP is that it also walks you through, right? If you're ready to transition into a new career, or if you're ready to just move up within your career. And what does that look like, right? And what do those conversations look like? That's something else too, that like we're really excited for, to just kind of like think level like 2.0, 3.0 for the future programming, is having those difficult conversations. Like, where else are you going to find a group, right, of strong individuals that are able to have these difficult, conversations with you, practice with you, because sometimes you just can't do that in the workplace, especially if it's really small, like to Melissa's point, right? When the organization is really small, you're maybe not that comfortable to kind of have those difficult conversations. And so this is definitely, I think we do a really good job, or try to do a really good job, right? To make sure that this is an open and vulnerable space, that we trust each other, to be able to, like, this is a learning process for everyone, and continuously, right? Like I feel very comfortable myself in my space to be able to have difficult conversations, but I'm always learning new techniques about how to approach a certain conversation or a certain topic, issue area, right? Like even right now, I think, or not right now, but like in the last program, we all kind of had to pivot, and it's like, how do you have that conversation about hybrid work, right? Like you don't feel that comfortable about going to work. We weren't talking about that 2 years ago because that wasn't relevant, right? So also kind of making sure that our programming is relevant to kind of what's going on. So I'll leave it at that. I don't know if anybody has any other points. I definitely invite folks in the chat box if you want to share a little bit about what it means to be a mentor to you, kind of how you reach out to a mentor, any tips, tricks that you found useful, something you're curious about, anything, just drop it in the chat box to kind of like continue the conversation.
Perfect.
I wanted to mention something, if that's okay. A lot of the things that Melissa said resonated with me, being that I also work at a very small foundation. It's just me and the program director. And our fund is meant to sunset mid 2023, and we close our doors by the end of 2023. And they've put in some really nice benefits to stay through the end, and sort of have some time to find a new job. And through the pandemic, I found new passions that sort of kept me at a mentally stable place. And so I'm kind of thinking of a potential career change, focused more on community programming in nature. And so I'm just sort of trying to figure out how I can parse out what it is that like my future role looks like. And I also know that I want to have more of a managerial role for my next move. And so I kind of want to know what skills I should be focused on for that as well. Because being such a small team, both of us sort of do a lot. And so I feel like I have some leadership and managerial skills, but I would like to hone in on those a little bit more. So those are the things that I would be looking for.
Thank you for sharing, Daniela. Appreciate that. I'm taking notes over here. I'm like, make sure to reach out after, so we know when we're doing like the pairing and whatnot, should it get to that point. Let's see. I saw someone raising their hand. It kind of disappeared right now.
Yeah, so I think Lakeisha has her hand raised. So Lakeisha, if you want to go real quick, and then we do want to get to our panel too. So please go ahead.
Thank you, Glynnis.
Yeah.
Great. I'll make it really quick, and thank you, Daniela, for sharing. So I've previously been working in arts and culture nonprofits. So as of 2020, it's my first time working within philanthropy, currently in grants management at the MacArthur Foundation. And similar to Daniela, I feel like I was in a place like 2019 where I was looking to make a transition. Long story short, I burned out and I couldn't recover from it working in arts nonprofits. And so I guess there's two things I would be looking for in a mentor in the philanthropy space, which is how to not burn out in this space, because I see myself building a long career within it. And then similar to Daniela, I'd like to be in a managerial role someday, but it's a whole new territory for me. So I would want some assistance to figure out what kind of things that I need to be able to get there.
Totally. Yes. I think these are things that are very common. I see a lot of heads nodding, mine included, about why mentoring can be so powerful. And we really hope, Lakeisha, that and others on this call, that through CWIP and potentially through WLMP, we can help make those connections for you so you can be connected to women and others in the field that can help you figure out those next steps in your career. So great. Okay. We're going to do our panel discussion now, everyone. And then at the end, we're planning to have a few minutes to go into breakout rooms so we can really dig into this stuff a little more too. But in the meantime, definitely feel free to keep using the chat so we can be responding that way. All right. Okay, Shruti, I'm going to hand it over to you to kick us off.
Thank you, Glynnis, and hi, everyone. Well, I'm going to ask Tara to introduce herself, and then I have a question for her.
Thanks, Trudy. Hi, everyone. My name is Tara Ebrahimi, and I am the Director of Communications for a very small nonprofit called Women Unite. So similar to what Melissa and Daniela were saying, my organization is also very small. And so one of the reasons that I wanted to join the WLMP program was because my organization was so small, I didn't have sort of the opportunity to make those natural mentorship connections. And I really liked the idea of having a structured program, especially because I'm in the middle of my career and I've been kind of grappling with where do I go from here? You know, in the beginning of your career, I think there's a little bit more of a, like kind of a designated path to getting to the middle of your career. But then once you're in the middle, you're sort of like, well, what do I do? There's kind of a lot of different directions I can go. You know, what are the sorts of like roles and responsibilities that I want to have? And these are all questions that I was grappling with for a couple of years. And so I thought, why not join a structured program where I can pick the brain of someone who has been there, has done that, and has kind of come out through the other side. And that's exactly what the WLMP program has been for me. And it's been an incredible experience. Before that, I had not really participated in any sort of formal mentorship program. I definitely have had throughout my career sort of informal mentoring opportunities, as well as being a mentee. But I liked having the structure in place because it felt like there was a dedicated time, a dedicated space to really kind of get some questions answered, talk to Ruth Ann, who's my mentor, and kind of understand where, you know, how she progressed through her career, because she's, you know, farther ahead than I am. And the other thing that's been really great is not only has it been an opportunity for me to cultivate a relationship with Ruth Ann, my mentor, but it's been an opportunity for me to cultivate relationships with all the people in my cohort, all the people in my program. And I don't know about you all, but I'm very bad at networking. Like, I really hate it. I hate going to like networking events. I just get very awkward. I sort of just like stand in the corner and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? So it's been really awesome to have this, like I said, a dedicated space to kind of chat with people, get to know people, and learn about what they're doing. And kind of that has informed more of my work and more of what I, understanding what I want to do. So yeah, Shruti, I think you have a couple of questions for me.
I do, and thank you for sharing that. So, you know, what are like a couple of tips you'd give to somebody who is a new mentee just starting out?
Yeah, definitely. So I think the biggest thing that I would say is to not be shy with your mentor. I think, you know, for the most part, there's really no question that you can ask that's going to be off limits. I mean, obviously within the professional realm, but, you know, mentors are there to kind of impart their wisdom and kind of impart their experiences. And so don't think that there's like any topic that's off limits. The other thing I would say, and this has been really helpful for me, is to have a plan in place for your mentoring relationship, but then this is kind of key, to allow yourself to deviate from that plan. So kind of let the conversations flow organically. Like every time I meet with Ruth Ann, I have like a series of questions that I want to ask her, topics that I want to broach with her. But we find that the conversation kind of just, you know, goes off on its own. And that's yielded even, I think, better sort of conversation topics and outcomes than if we had kind of rigidly stuck to, okay, here are my 5 questions, let's boom, 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 ask these questions and go through that. So it's been a very organic experience, and it's been a great opportunity to kind of let the wind take us where it will, if you will.
Thank you. And that's so true. I mean, it's nice to have a structure, but then that authentic, connection happens when you actually just chat. It's not just an agenda. Yeah, that's my question for you.
Awesome. So Shruti, now will you do us the honor of introducing yourself?
Yeah, of course. Hi, everyone. I'm Shruti Saxena. I am a senior project manager of special projects at Chicago Public Schools, and I've been there for about 6 years now, which kind of feels impossible to be true. I've also worked in corporate social responsibility for about 5 years, before being at grad school. I've been really fortunate to have a whole lot of mentors in my life, whether through, formal mentoring programs, for example, my grad school had some stuff going, or informally, or people who've been bosses or people who I've met at work. And that's something that really helped my career, even when I didn't quite realize that I was being mentored. And it was like, okay, a couple of years later, I was like, oh, this person served in this role in my life. I was just very early and young in my career and didn't understand that. And that's why I'm involved as well, because I do want to pay it forward. I do think there's benefit to myself as well. So it's not a one-way relationship at all. There's a lot of learning involved being a mentor too. And yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Great. So actually that, what you said kind of segues perfectly into the question that I wanted to ask you, which is, what have you learned as a mentor in the program? As you said, we sort of kind of think of the mentorship relationship as the mentee learning a lot, but obviously mentors are also on the receiving end of that learning. So I'd love to hear what you've learned.
Yeah, and so, kind of to what you also mentioning earlier, Tara, like having a structure and an organic discussion, Claire always came prepared with some questions and discussion points, and actually send them a day or two ahead. And I found myself, as I reflected on my career choices or decisions, that was very helpful, because something that I did 5 years ago, and I was like, oh, I made this career switch, oh, I decided to take this job, oh, I decided not to do this particular professional development program. Revisiting that decision a few years down the line is actually really useful to understand why you made certain choices and how they've turned out for you. And I also just learned some new ways of thinking about stuff, because when you talk to somebody else, how they look at their career, Claire's perspective on the world, that kind of taught me a lot of different things too, and I found that very helpful. So I always say this, I think it's a two-way street. If you're mentoring someone else, it's almost impossible to not be mentored yourself too, if you do the work of self-reflection over there. Yeah. Well,
thank you.
Yeah. Of course. I will keep us moving and pass it over to Ruth Ann.
Oh, Shruti, thank you for that. And it is always so fascinating to me when we all come around the table. So whether it's virtually, like we are doing this morning, with a combination of women, all of us at different stages in our career, but yet all sharing a common goal and common purpose to do well and to excel and to make impact in how we are doing that. So I am already getting fed from this morning's dialogue. So I serve as Vice President of Marketing and Communications at the Ronald McDonald House Charities here in the Chicagoland area. And I, like many of us, bring a combination of experiences to my current role. I spent 20 years in corporate marketing and then made the shift into the nonprofit sector. And over these past 15 years, I have served in roles at a consulting firm, in an international nonprofit, and now centered on family-centered care here at the Ronald McDonald House, that is part of a national and an international organization. And so I would encourage each of us to think of, what are the building blocks that we are all adding to our career paths that will then keep moving us forward? So I, find that combination of experiences has served me well in both a variety of roles and a variety of decision-making situations. So, with that, what I would really like to do is to also give Claire an opportunity to introduce herself, who is Shrudi's mentee. And as you can see, we're kind of doing this round robin of talking across our mentor-mentee pairs to hear different perspectives. So Claire, tell us a little bit about yourself and what has, in addition to your story, what's been something that you have learned this past year?
Thank you, Ruth Ann. So my name is Claire Dorn. I'm earlier in my career in philanthropy and nonprofit. I have about 5 years of experience working for nonprofits in Chicago. And actually my first job when I moved to Chicago was coordinating a mentoring program for teens, providing individual and group mentorship. So I'm a really big fan of mentoring programs. And I currently work for a nonprofit called Upwardly Global. We support immigrant and refugee professionals that have obtained degrees abroad and have professional experience abroad in navigating the US job search and getting back into their fields here in the US. So there's definitely a component of mentoring in my current work as well. And one of the reasons that I wanted to become a mentee is that I'm at a point in my career where I am looking to be much more strategic and intentional about planning my career path and professional goals. And I felt like I could benefit from, an outside perspective and some professional advice along that path. And I'd participated in some mentoring programs in the past as a volunteer mentor, but I'd never had a chance to participate as a mentee. And I've seen how beneficial and powerful these programs are. So that's what led me to apply for the Women's Leadership Mentoring Program. And I've really gotten so much out of the program over the past year. It's really been a great fit because it combines individual mentoring with a cohort model. So we're able to connect with other early and mid-career women and share ideas and attend professional development sessions together. So I've really benefited from that. And then, apart from all that I've learned from Shruti through our monthly meetings, I've also really learned a lot about myself over the past year. And like Shruti mentioned, I always prepared an agenda and some questions to kind of guide our meetings. And this really helped me to reflect on what I wanted to get out of the mentorship. And after each meeting, then I would reflect on some of the topics we discussed and action items and advice that she shared with me. So that whole process of self-reflection really helped me to increase my self-awareness too in the process and really, understand my strengths and weaknesses and where I'm at, what are my goals and how do I get there. So I think that was really valuable learning for me. And I think something that really helped to make our mentorship more sustainable was that I really took initiative to drive the relationship. I think a lot of people have the perception that, the mentor is the more senior person and should drive the relationship. But it was really helpful for me to really take initiative to prepare those agendas and drive the relationship. And I got a lot out of it because of that. So that's, one of the many things that I've learned, Ruth Ann. I want to turn it over to you and ask what made you decide to be a mentor and what are some of the reasons that you got involved with this program as a mentor?
Perfect. And to what you just shared, Claire, I think that there's a valuable lesson there for all of us. And it is, how do each of us, take that responsibility, that role of what is it that I am keen to learn? How is it that I am interested in growing? And then what can be that forum or space in which to do so? And so as you shared, that the taking, ownership for looking to set the learning goals, sharing, the agenda of what you'd like to talk through each month, the reflection afterwards, all of that I think plays into that holistic circle of the value of this. And so I find, incredible value in being a mentor and chose to do this because I feel I have some experiences to share, having been on the journey now for many years. But beyond that, I continue to have so much to learn. And so this shared experience, this shared journey, I think benefits both mentors and mentees. And it's about coming to the table, being an active listener, meeting that individual that you are paired with where they are at, to then be that hopefully useful sounding board, providing some structure, but then also providing the opportunity to say what more could be considered, what more could be done to move this forward, and then to come back to it the next month and the next month to see how together, each player is growing, but in particular, as a mentee, to see that individual really stepping into that space. So it's a very fulfilling experience, I think, for all of us who participate in this.
I would agree with you, Ruthie Ann, just to follow up on your response. I think it is really cool, especially over a program like this. It's a one-year program where you can really see change and transformation happening from month to month. And it's really cool to share that together on a journey with a mentor and mentee. So I really agree with that.
And for I think everyone that's part of this conversation today, the purposeful length of time, the checkpoints that are built in, the doing things one-on-one, but also being able to have engagement with your cohort group serves multiple purposes to keep the program compelling and fresh, and all of us growing and moving forward with it. So given some of the things that we've touched on, Glynnis, I wonder if from here you want to move us all into small groups for a little bit more conversation.
Yeah, that sounds great, Ruth Ann. Thank you all so much. We really appreciate hearing all your words of wisdom and lessons learned during the program. So thank you, thank you. Yes, we are going to go into small breakout rooms now. Definitely feel free to talk about maybe something that was came to mind during this conversation so far. I'm also going to put a few questions in the chat if you want some additional prompts. But whenever, Rachel, you're ready, let's go into breakout rooms for about 10 minutes, and then we'll come back together at the end, and Donna and Jasmine will help us wrap up, and then we'll go on with our days.
It's just one moment while we get everyone situated.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you all. All right, and we will be heading to breakout rooms right now. Hello, we are all just in breakout rooms right now, so I will assign you to a room so you can join everyone for some small discussions. Just one moment.
Welcome back, everyone. It's great to see all of you back. I hope that you had really great, robust conversations. And I feel like Shannon will be joining the girls committee, I hope, after our last conversation. Just such a great opportunity to talk with each other about all of the benefits of CWIP and all of the excellent committees and the work that we do in the community. It was a pleasure to talk with a smaller group and get to know you a bit better. I hope this was a great way to start your Friday. Again, we appreciate your time today. We appreciate everyone who joined and shared their stories from our cohort this year, and we appreciate you joining us. So as Glynnis mentioned in the beginning of the call, our WLMP application window is open. It opens today and it will be open through August 31st. So we strongly encourage you to apply. And I think as women, we oftentimes don't really see ourselves as experts or question whether or not we have enough to share with a mentee, but I can tell you safely that you all have what it takes to be not only a mentee, clearly, but also a mentor. And, even for mentees who are just kind of graduating from our program, we encourage you to stay in touch with WLMP or join the committee. Share out, with your friends, your networks, your colleagues about WLMP and all the benefits, please. As Glynnis also mentioned earlier, we're really working to grow our involvement with women of color, and we hope to increase our number of women of color for our mentors. And, again, help us spread the word, please. And just, there's so many different ways for you to be involved with CWIP. We're launching new membership. Well, in January, we'll be offering some new membership opportunities, including a fully virtual membership for events like this that are not in person, but for people who really want to be involved. And we have our upcoming annual meeting on August 25th and from 8 to 9:30, and we welcome you to join us. And always, there's always a CWIP event going on, even if you're not yet ready to be a member. You can always just sign up for the newsletter or follow us on social media and stay abreast of all of the things that are happening and join when you can. But again, thank you so much. We're going to put lots of resources in the chat for you. And if you do have any questions, you can certainly reach out to us. Our contact information is there. And I welcome Glynnis or Jasmine to say any final words, but if not, I just wish you a very happy Friday and an enjoyable weekend.
Thank you so much, Donna. Thank you for all joining us this morning. Look out for a survey from CWIP soon. We'd love to hear your thoughts on how this went. Definitely don't hesitate to be in touch. Our emails will be with that survey and on the website. Connect with each other on LinkedIn. Hopefully this is just the start for a lot of you of getting to know each other and continue on your mentoring journey. So thank you all and have a great day. Bye.